Yamunatiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnu Pad Parahamsa Parivrajacharya Asatara Shata Shri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Shamakund Radhakund Kiri Govardhan Ki Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Gangamata Ki Yamuna Maya Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Tulasi Devi Ki Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Transcendental Harinam Sankirtan Yagya Ki Gaur Premanande. Oh glories to the assembled devotees. Oh glories to the assembled devotees. Oh glories to the assembled devotees. Oh glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Oh glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttapadakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunitam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Sadvadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyaiva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you for coming. So we're reading today from I'll Build You a Temple, the Juhu story by Giriraj Maharaj. And we're starting a new section entitled, it's chapter 4, entitled Vrindavan, the Final Journey. And this is from October to December 1977. And we're on a section now back in Vrindavan. So let us begin. When Srila Prabhupada arrived at the Mathura station, Brahmananda carried him in his arms from the train to a waiting car. The devotees gathered to greet Prabhupada at the temple. were distressed by how much his condition had deteriorated in the month since they had last seen him. Prabhupada proceeded directly to his sitting room, where a large bed had been set up. He lay still with his eyes closed for some time, surrounded by his senior disciples. After a long silence, he quoted King Kulashekhar's prayer, Krishna Tvadiya Pada Pankaja Panjarantam. My Lord Krishna, please let me die immediately, so that the swan of my mind may be encircled by the stems of your lotus feet. Otherwise, at the time of my final breath, when my throat is choked up with cough, how will it be possible to think of you? I was remembering the discussion we had, all of your disciples and you, Tamal Krishna said. When we were considering whether we should go to Vrindavan or not, how we were all giving different arguments, one side or the other, then we all concluded that the best program was to come to Vrindavan. And now I can see it was the right conclusion, because I feel that we are at home. Here it is. Here it is home. Krishna and Balarama are here. Prabhupada indicated his agreement. So Srila Prabhupada's health deteriorated quite badly. He'd become very ill. He became very weak and very thin. And the devotees were worried that Prabhupada was going to leave his body soon. So they traveled to Vrindavan because he wanted that his last moments were spent there. And Srila Prabhupada was showing a lot of concern, even though he was in a very weak condition, for the progress on the temple, and also concerned that things were going on as they should. And Prabhupada, he says that this is my concern, that such a huge establishment, if not properly, regularly managed, then everything will be finished. So Prabhupada was showing his concern there, and actually his disciples asked Prabhupada, when you leave, Srila Prabhupada, what will happen to your ISKCON? What will happen to the movement? And actually, after he was asked that, Prabhupada said, I will never die. They were asking him, what will happen when you die? And he said, I will not die. And there's this really beautiful verse. It's a poem by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He reasons ill who says that Vaishnavas die. When thou art living still in sound, the Vaishnavas die to live, and living try to spread the holy life around. So I thought that was really beautiful. He reasons ill who says that Vaishnavas die. Srila Prabhupada didn't die. He may have left his body, but there he is. He's right there. And he's right here in his books. When we're reading, we're directly associating with him. And he said that if you want to associate with me, then read my books. So he's still here. And he's here in his Vani and his instructions to us. And Srila Prabhupada's movement is still going on under his care. When we're distributing his books, Prabhupada is still preaching. He's left his body, but he's still preaching. He's still here. And when we're distributing his books, we're allowing other people to meet Prabhupada and get direct association with him. And Srila Prabhupada also said that if we wanted to see that the movement goes on nicely, that we should cooperate with one another. He said, your love for me will be shown by how you cooperate. So in the beginning of the movement, he noticed that the devotees, they were all arguing a lot. So he told them from the very beginning, if you want to preach Krishna consciousness, you have to learn to work together. Because it's really from the inside that we can reach out, and from the inside that things can become destroyed. And then Srila Prabhupada at this point, he wasn't eating anything and he didn't want to drink anything except for milk. And then one of the devotees asked, saintly persons in the past did adopt that policy. They were living simply on milk. But are you feeling all right? And Prabhupada said, yes. And these devotees said, you are happy to be in Vrindavan, I think. You look very natural being in Vrindavan, Srila Prabhupada. So Srila Prabhupada, he was staying in the Dham and he was happy and he left that to come and preach in the West. He could have just stayed there and gone back to Godhead, or he could have just stayed there and then from there gone anywhere he wanted to in the material universe or in the spiritual world. But he didn't. He came to the West to preach Krishna consciousness. And he said that he didn't look left or right, he just came to this most hellish place to save us. And actually, if we think that we're practicing just to go back to Godhead, that's actually just material consciousness. But if we think, I'm practicing, and whatever culmination of Krishna consciousness I can manage to get by the mercy of Guru, I should share that. So material consciousness is, I'm doing this for me, but actually spiritual consciousness is, I'm doing this for the pleasure of Guru, and I'm doing this so that other people can also become inspired, that I can share what Prabhupada has given us. I can share Prabhupada with others. That's actually spiritual consciousness, sharing. So then at some point, Srila Prabhupada stopped drinking as well. And it is said that that's a bona fide way to actually leave your body, is to just stop taking anything, not eating or drinking anything. But the devotees were really worried, and Upendra was pleading with Prabhupada, you have to drink. If you don't drink, you'll become dehydrated. And Prabhupada was saying, oh, you want me to drink? And then he said, if I want to survive, of course I'll have to take something, but my survival means so many inconveniences. Therefore, I have decided to die peacefully. And then the devotees were begging Srila Prabhupada. They were asking, please, can you... Well, Tamal Krishna, he was saying, everything is in the hands of Krishna. And many times, Prabhupada would say that whatever Krishna desired, he would accept. If Krishna allowed him to stay, he would stay. And if Krishna wanted him to go, he would go. And then Prabhupada, although he wouldn't mind going or staying, his disciples really wanted him to stay, but they didn't say it because they knew that Prabhupada wanted to do what Krishna wanted him to do. But Prabhupada, he opened his eyes and he said, Krishna wants me to do as I like. The choice is mine. He has given me full freedom. This was a different mood, a different answer, and it gave us a glimpse into the intimate reciprocation between Prabhupada and Krishna. And then the devotees went outside to discuss what should we do in this circumstance. And then they said, if Krishna has given Prabhupada the choice, and if Prabhupada is giving us the choice, then we should ask Prabhupada to stay. And then everyone agreed that yes, we should ask him to stay. So they go back into the room, and Kirtanananda was supposed to beg Prabhupada, please stay with us. But then he ends up just breaking down and sobbing and crying, and he couldn't speak because he was very emotional. And then eventually he asks Prabhupada, if Krishna has given you the choice, then don't go, we need you. And then Prabhupada asks, is this your joint opinion? Have you discussed this? And the devotees say, yes, we've met together and we want you to remain and lead the movement and finish the Srimad Bhagavatam. Prabhupada was silent for what seemed like ages. Then he began to yawn and in the same breath said, all right, just like that. And then he added, this is real affection. We were jubilant, within ourselves rejoicing. Prabhupada is going to stay. He's not going to leave us. And actually, I heard recently that Prabhupada explained on the Jaladuta, he had 3 heart attacks. That's a lot of heart attacks, and he was in a lot of pain. His body was in a lot of pain. And he said that actually he should have left his body at that time, but Krishna came and massaged his heart to keep him alive, because Krishna wanted him to live and come and save us all. After 3 days, Prabhupada's younger sister, she comes. Her name is Bhavatarini, but Prabhupada said we could call her Pishima. And he told his disciples she's a pure devotee, and he really appreciated and respected her simplicity and her pure devotion for Krishna and his devotees. And then Srila Prabhupada, even though he was in this condition, he was still asking his devotees, how is the work going on in Bombay? What feedback is there? And they were asking what kind of yagya they should have for the opening, and what kind of festival and ceremony should be there. And Prabhupada was joking that that the Western Brahmanas, the imported Brahmanas, could actually they could host the festival and they could perform the yagya themselves. And he was also saying that at the yagya they should have this big feast, and he'd be very pleased by that. And the devotees wanted him to be there, but he also explained that, well, we don't know if it will be possible or not. Depends on his health and his condition. And then Tamal Krishna, he writes a letter to Srila Prabhupada, and then he comes into the room and he says, Srila Prabhupada, I wrote a prayer to Lord Krishna for your health. I was thinking of bringing it to read you. And Prabhupada says, yes, I want to hear. So then he reads, My dear Lord Krishna, you are known as Yogeshvara, the master of all mystic powers. So it is very easy for you to perform the impossible, as you have done many times in the past. By your merciful glance, you restore life to the boys and cows who died by drinking the water of the Yamuna river, which was poisoned by Kaliya. You swallowed a devastating forest fire to protect the inhabitants of Vrindavan. In the rasa dance, you expanded yourself to be simultaneously present by the side of each gopi. And as Guru Dakshin, you recovered the dead son of your teacher. When the hunchback maidservant of Kamsa smeared you with sandalwood pulp, you made her straight and beautiful, and a householder in Dwarka, as a householder in Dwarka, you expanded yourself into 16,000 Krishnas and simultaneously satisfied each of your 16,000 wives. When Sudama Brahman offered you chipped rice, you transformed his poor cottage into a beautiful palace suitable for the king of heaven. To satisfy Mother Devaki, you returned her 6 dead sons from the kingdom of Bali. And to appease Dwarka Brahman, you also reclaimed his dead sons from Mahavishnu. When Srila Prabhupada sat with $7 under a tree in Tompkins Square, you transformed that tree into so many regal palaces, and you expanded that $7 into millions. When Srila Prabhupada spoke your message, you turned the Malechas and Chandalas who heard him into your devotees. And when Srila Prabhupada went all by himself to sell his Srimad Bhagavatam sets, you expanded him into 10,000 loving salesmen who worked day and night without asking any salary. And you expanded his suitcase of books into 55 million pieces of literature in 23 different languages. And then, when Hare Krishna land was lost to the demons, you returned it to his divine grace. From these examples, we can understand that for you the impossible is not difficult. Rather, you have performed so many impossible feats for your devotees. Therefore, if you desire, please give Srila Prabhupada a new body. And then Prabhupada said, excellent. I'm getting a little glimpse. He may agree to your prayer. Yes. So Ramakrishna, he moves from Krishna's pastimes in Goloka to Vrindavan to Krishna's pastimes here in the material world with Srila Prabhupada, and showing how the miracle that Srila Prabhupada performed. And once Srila Prabhupada was asked, can you show me a miracle? Because people think, if you can make something manifest from your hand, if you got some mystic studies, if you can lift something very heavy or showcase some kind of power or opulence, then that's very mystical and very incredible. But Srila Prabhupada said, I can make birth, death, old age, and disease go away. He can end material birth and death. That's a miracle. And he also said, look at my disciples. They are the miracles. Shri Shri Radha Radhanath ki jai. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. Shri Giraj Govardhan ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So he was glorifying his disciples and also just emphasizing that look at what his disciples are doing. They're taking to the process of Krishna consciousness. That's a miracle. So Prabhupada was miraculous. Prabhupada wanted more than anything to see the opening of the Juhu temple. He said, if I see the opening and then die, it will be a very peaceful death. So you can see he's thinking again and again and again about this temple. He's asking again and again, and he wants to keep informed and updated, even in his condition. And the devotees say that they really wish that he could be there, and they say that you are the jewel that will make it all gorgeous, Srila Prabhupada. And then Prabhupada, after some kirtan, he said, I want association of Vaishnavas. You are all pure Vaishnavas. You have sacrificed everything, material comforts, for Krishna's sake. That is Vaishnava. Anyabhilashita shunyam. You have no other desire. You Europeans, Americans, you are born amongst material desires. And when you become free from material desires, therefore, you are all Vaishnava, Anyabhilashita shunyam. So you are so merciful. This is Prabhupada's humility. He's glorifying his disciples as Vaishnavas. Prabhupada, he's the founder Acharya of the whole ISKCON. He can take all the credit and all the glorification for what we have. Yet he's glorifying his disciples. He's the ultimate sannyasi. That's his supreme renunciation, that he has all glory, but he gives glory to his Vaishnavas. This quality is there in Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And his supreme renunciation is that he glorifies his devotee. He goes and washes the feet of Sudama Brahman. He goes and offers to be the charioteer driver for Arjuna. So this is renunciation. Prabhupada had that quality. He was so renounced that he wasn't attached to his glory and his fame. He wanted that his devotees be glorified. And I was hearing about how he once was asked to lead a kirtan and devotees were recording him. And then after that, they were watching the video of the recording. And Prabhupada, he starts clapping and he's like, oh, wow, this kirtan is so nice. But he's not seeing himself, he's not seeing, oh, I'm giving kirtan, I'm leading kirtan. He's seeing, oh, this is Krishna being glorified. He was so humble, Srila Prabhupada. And it's not that he couldn't have single-handedly made the whole world, everyone in the whole world a pure devotee, or even in the whole universe. Of course he could have done that. And even Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur said that he was leaving his work unfinished. But he also could have done that. He could have spread Krishna consciousness throughout the whole universe. But why didn't they? Because they wanted to give us the opportunity. It's good for us. Like just how Krishna, he doesn't need our service. He's self-satisfied. He's Atmaram. He doesn't need anything at all. But he still allows the devotee to serve because there's a loving reciprocation. So with our spiritual masters as well, they can spread pure love of God all over the universe, but they give us the opportunity to participate because it's good for us. Not that they need it, but it's actually good for us, and we're very, very fortunate to be able to participate. And then there's that loving exchange that takes place, that we can serve our spiritual masters and experience reciprocation and make spiritual progress. And then the devotees, they respond to Srila Prabhupada that because you are a Paramahamsa, Srila Prabhupada, you are seeing everyone else as surrendered to Krishna. But only by your mercy you are forcing us to serve Krishna. So Prabhupada, he's an Uttama Adhikari. He sees that everybody is a pure devotee. So actually, in that perspective, there's no need to preach because everyone's a pure devotee. He looks beyond the material covering, beyond everything we think we are, and he can see us. But he came down to the level of Madhyam Adhikari to preach because the Madhyam distinguishes that this person needs Krishna's mercy in a particular way. That person maybe is a little unfavorable, so I won't be too pushy. Oh, this person can be my friend, they're a devotee. So the Madhyam comes to preach. The following night, Prabhupada had a dream in which he saw Ramanuja Vaidya preparing Makara Dwaja medicine. So he was seeing an Ayurvedic doctor in his dream, giving him a particular kind of medicine. And then the devotees were saying that Prabhupada's dreams are transcendental. So that means Krishna has given some idea how to get Prabhupada treated. So I was asking my Guru Maharaj about dreams. Sometimes the devotees dream about Krishna. And he explained to me that when we're still under the modes of goodness, passion and ignorance, then the dreams are a product of passion. But it's still very good if in your subconsciousness you can think about Krishna and therefore dream about him. That's very good. But it's just also the product of passion, and we should always check if we get an instruction in our dreams. We should check with our spiritual masters instead of just going ahead and following the instruction in the dream. We should always check. But a person who's on a level of bhav, their dreams are highly significant. Like Srila Prabhupada's dreams are not just ordinary dreams. He dreamt many times that his spiritual master came to him and asked him to take sannyas. But see, Srila Prabhupada, again in his humility, he didn't just think, oh yes, my Guru Maharaj is coming to me in my dream, therefore I should take sannyas. He actually checked with his god brothers. After several times of getting the dream, he checked with his god brothers and to see if this is something he should do, to confirm that his spiritual master wanted this. And then he took sannyas. So on the level of bhav, dreams are very significant. But there are also many, many pastimes that we can hear devotees, especially pujaris, they dream about the deity. I wonder if anyone here has ever dreamt about the deity or had a dream about Krishna. It's good. It means that Krishna is reciprocating with us and appearing even in that moment of ignorance when we're sleeping. That's very good. And sometimes Krishna also wants his desire to be known through a dream, and the devotee can understand what Krishna wants. Oh, and then Srila Prabhupada, he started continuing with his Srimad Bhagavatam dictation. So this is how Prabhupada would actually write his books. He dictated them. I mean, who could do that? Just look at the detail in the purports. and how he actually wrote so many books in such a short time was he dictated. He sat behind a recording device and spoke, and then that was all recorded, and then those were the purports. And Srila Prabhupada says that the more we read Srimad Bhagavatam, the more its knowledge becomes clarified. Each and every verse, transcendental. And at some point, Prabhupada was found reading his own books, and then the devotees asked him, "But Prabhupada, why are you reading your own books?" Because usually if you write a book, you don't really read the whole thing yourself. You go over it to make sure it all makes sense, but you don't sit and relish the book. Usually in the material world it's like that. But Prabhupada, he was reading and relishing what was written, and he explained when he was reading Krishna book that, no, I cannot write something so wonderful. This is Krishna's, these are Krishna's words. I have not written this. Krishna has written this. He has dictated to me, and I've dictated, and it has been recorded. So this is Krishna speaking. Later in the conversation, I told Prabhupada that I had never met anyone with so many wonderful transcendental qualities. He laughed and said, "It has to be developed. Transcendental qualities are already there. Only when we are without designations do they become manifest. When we become prone to give service to Krishna, it becomes revealed. It is already there. Nothing is imported. Now print books and distribute. Jaya Krishna Balaram." And then there's a devotee, Haridas, who was living in Bombay, and he was assisting with a book distribution and with making life members in Bombay. And he wrote a letter to Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada, he was saying, even devotees who have engagements where they are not likely to make a life member are making life members and are collecting money. And even persons not expected to become members are now becoming members. This is all due to the desire in the hearts of the preachers. Oh, sorry, this is now the letter. Yeah, this is a letter from Haridas. So he's saying that even in the most unlikely situations where it doesn't seem like anyone is going to become a life member, and they're becoming life members, and even though it seems almost impossible to preach in the way that they're preaching, it's all going on, and they say it's all due to the desire in the hearts of the preachers in Bombay to serve Srila Prabhupada. So, and by His grace, everything is coming very smoothly. This confirmed in our hearts that without Srila Prabhupada, we cannot do any single work in this movement. Srila Prabhupada gives us encouragement just by kindly agreeing to stay with us. So if we just allow ourselves to be instrumental in the hands of our spiritual masters, then there's so much we can do on their behalf. So much. If a gardener has a spade, the spade is only useful if it stays in the hand of the gardener. But if the spade decides it doesn't want to stay in the hand of the gardener, then what use is it? But if it stays in that hand, there's so much it can do. So if we just stay within the hands of our spiritual masters, if we continue to follow Guru's order, there's so much we can do on his behalf if we're just staying instrumental. Oh, and the Swarab Damodar was glorifying Prabhupada. He was saying that Srila Prabhupada is a touchstone who can transform everybody. And the project, it was going on so well that the devotees, they didn't even have to go out to preach, but people actually would come to them and give them money and want to hear. And then Swarup Damodar was saying that is Prabhupada's mercy. And everyone started to know they started to know about the project going on in Juhu in India. People were becoming aware of this project. And Prabhupada said that gradually the whole world will be sympathetic. Everyone will recognize that we are doing real service. And then the Ayurvedic doctor comes to see Srila Prabhupada. And they have this conversation about how Lord Chaitanya appeared in Srila Prabhupada's dream and instructed him what to do to get better. And the doctor was saying, you didn't take care of your body in this whole life. And Prabhupada replied, actually, it's just that I have so many disciples to accept that I've also accepted their karma. But at another time when Prabhupada was very ill, he said that he was ill because his senior devotees were not following the principles. So that's actually what it was. And Krishna was giving a sign of that. But the devotees, they said, but you know, Prabhupada, we checked your astrological chart, and the astrologers, they say that you will overcome this, that you won't be leaving your body now. And they were so relieved to hear that. And Prabhupada, he says that without culture, people are suffering. If you want to mitigate their sufferings, give this Gita culture. That is my experience. We have sold this Chaitanya Charitamrita even in Russian countries. So Srila Prabhupada, when he went to Russia, he preached to one person, just one person. And now look at how many devotees there are in Russia. So many enthusiastic devotees. The whole communist regime collapsed after Prabhupada went there. This is Srila Prabhupada's mercy, just by going to Russia once. And he's saying that people they're looking for culture, real culture. They're suffering, and he says that he quotes this verse from the Chaitanya Charitamrita Adilita. One who has taken his birth as a human being in the land of India should make his life successful and work for the benefit of all other people. This is Indian culture. Indian culture is not meant for exploiting others. That is human life. And that is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission, Bharat especially. So, you know, when you go to India, you'll meet so many people who, they know about Krishna. Maybe they're worshipping the demigods, or maybe they're only interested in kind of working and making money, but they all know who is Krishna. There is culture there. People are very pious. And actually, my Guru Maharaj explained to me that the demigods, they're up there enjoying in the higher planets. They're praying to be born in this place, India. They want to be born there because there's real culture there, and the culture is spiritual life. That's what it is. The demigods, even though they have such nice lives, it's so nice up there, you forget about Krishna. Then they want to come here. They want to be born in a place where people worship Krishna, because there's nothing sweeter than that, and there's no sweetness in material sense gratification. So Prabhupada is asking, you know, you've been given this opportunity, you have such a pious birth, so take advantage of it by preaching. You know, that's our duty. If we know about Krishna, that's our duty. And everyone in India has been given that opportunity with that pious birth to be able to share what they've been given, that culture of Krishna consciousness. And then Srila Prabhupada, he quotes this verse, Yoginam api sarvesham matgatenantar atmana shradhavan bhajate yomam same yuktatamomata. Of all yogis, the one with great faith who always abides in me, thinks of me within himself and renders transcendental loving service to me. He is the most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. That is my opinion. And then he says, there are many yogas. The aim is to come to the topmost yoga. That is bhakti yoga. So if we've been given this process of bhakti yoga, then it's our responsibility to reach out and share that with others. And in the introduction to the Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada says there seems to be like a pinprick within society at large, and that is the culture of Krishna consciousness. And that if we can just get our leaders to start practicing, then surely other people will also start practicing, because people follow what the great members of society do. So if we can reach out to them and simultaneously reach out to people in general, then the whole of society starts to be shaped around spiritual culture. If only Krishna consciousness can become more prominent in every town and village, and it is slowly but surely it's happening, and we get to see it and participate in that. And then Srila Prabhupada, he speaks about the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, the purport to text 2. It is clearly stated that the Gita was especially meant for the saintly kings, because they were to execute its purpose in ruling over the citizens. So in the previous yugas, the rulers of society were very pious and they were Krishna conscious, and therefore everybody was happy in society. Like when Maharaj Yudhisthira was the king, everyone had everything they needed. And right now, it's not that we don't have enough supplies. It's not that there is actually a shortage of water or electricity. Yet we see sometimes we don't have electricity, sometimes we don't have water, and sometimes people don't even have food. But it's not that there's not enough land to grow food. It's not that there isn't enough being grown. It's just that the management of everything is not being done properly, because the leaders of our society are not really focused on serving Krishna and doing their duty as leaders, as much as they're focused on what they can receive and the benefits that they can get from being in the position. So this is Kali Yuga. That's the characteristics of Kali Yuga, that things have changed like that. And then Tamal Krishna carries on reading the purport. Certainly Bhagavad Gita was never meant for the demoniac persons who would dissipate its value for no one's benefit and would devise all types of interpretations according to personal whims. As soon as the original purpose was scattered by the motives of the unscrupulous commentators, there arose the need to re-establish the disciplic succession. So Prabhupada also explained in that introduction to Bhagavatam that it's worse if someone has knowledge about Krishna and they misuse it for their own personal interests, rather than if someone is just completely ignorant or completely innocent, because it means they have knowledge but they're misusing it. That's much more dangerous than a person who just has no knowledge at all. And then the purport says, this spirit is demoniac because demons do not believe in God, but simply enjoy the property of the Supreme. And then Srila Prabhupada gets a visitor, Mr. Bajaj. And Mr. Bajaj, he wants to speak to Prabhupada alone in the room, but his disciples, they're actually really worried to just leave him alone in the room because they're worried about Srila Prabhupada. And there's this mood that they have towards him. They treat him almost like their child. They say, but Prabhupada, we don't want to leave you alone. Anything can happen, and we want to look after you and make sure you're okay. So even though Guru, he's a fatherly figure, the spiritual father of his disciples. Sometimes that role was reversed in the interactions between Srila Prabhupada and his disciples, where they became like the mothers and fathers of Prabhupada, and he allowed them to take care of him, and there was this sweet kind of reciprocation there. And then Prabhupada, he explains who is a leader. Who is a leader? He says, anyone who follows the previous leadership, he is a leader. Leader means one who has become first-class disciple. He is a leader. Evam parampara praptam. One who is perfectly following. So, if we are following our spiritual masters, then we can be a leader, but not otherwise. And then Srila Prabhupada receives a copy of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the 10th canto. It's the latest volume that he's getting. And it was made especially for Srila Prabhupada with gold embossing. And Prabhupada was looking at the book and he was so pleased. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj says, how much love for Krishna Prabhupada has. They could see in his eyes how much love for Krishna Prabhupada has. So where is love for Krishna? It's in the heart of the pure devotee. It's in the heart of Srila Prabhupada. We're chanting every day, Shri Guru Charana Padma. The lotus feet of our spiritual master are the only way by which we can attain pure love. He's got pure love. And then Krishna Prasade Paya Bhakti Lata Bij. He installs that seed of devotional service in the heart of the devotee. And then that pure love starts to awaken in us as well. Without the mercy of the spiritual master, we cannot make any advancement. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado. So if we want to associate with Srila Prabhupada and start to awaken our Krishna consciousness, then we can do that by reading his books because he's still there. But if we want to please him in the best possible way, then we won't just read his books, we'll distribute them as well. And Srila Prabhupada, he says about book distribution that when we go out on books, why is it that we feel so happy? It's because Mahaprabhu is giving us an embrace. He's hugging us. Lord Chaitanya is hugging us because he's so pleased. And Prabhupada, then he says, each and every book distributor will go back to Godhead. I personally guarantee this. There is no doubt in this. So if we want to please Guru and Krishna in the best possible way, we won't just appreciate what we've been given by reading and kind of keeping it to ourselves. We would read and distribute, and go back to Godhead. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Transcendental Book Distribution ki jai. Are there any comments, questions, or corrections? Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.